Yo, 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 hello, and welcome back to the Lenko show. I'm your host, Alex Lenkowski, with my bro, Chris. What's up, bro?
Hello, everybody. It is good to be back again, once again, with the Renegade Master.
We're getting stuck into episode number 99. 99 times I've done this. You haven't. You've been here for what, part time?
Maybe 15.
Nah, you've been more than that. Must be. Can't
Okay.
only be 15.
Have you
Anyway,
noticed the influx of viewers has spiked since I've come back?
has it? Are you sure?
I
Do you
don't
want me,
know.
shall I pull the data up? Shall we have a look? Anyway, we're on episode number 99. We're one very, very short, just short of 100 now. And
We've
I,
run out of ideas.
I'm, I'm afraid today I need some cheering up today. I'm sick to the back teeth in just how bad Man United can possibly be. I don't know if you like. I know you're a Man United fan, but you don't necessarily follow it as much as me.
But it's because I got to this point. So I remember it was coming out of lockdown. I was watching United v Fulham. I'm not gonna take you back too vaguely, but I was watching United v Fulham, and I think I was about 67 minutes into the game, Alex, before I thought, do you know what? I don't know why I do this shit. I genuinely don't understand why I bother because it is like that. I don't think I've had a heart attack, but I know that I am at least 200% closer to having a heart attack in the next 5 years because of watching United. I was genuinely, it made me hate people. It made me hate animals. It made me hate grass. I didn't like the outside. I didn't like weather anymore because we lost when it rained. We lost when it was sunny. We lost when it was windy. Like, my blood boiled, like genuinely. And I'm not kidding. And honestly, I would be so enraged and infuriated watching them. So I just stopped. Like genuinely. I was honestly call me a terrible fan, but I literally I withdrew from the situation because that was where I needed to be for my own emotional and mental
Yeah.
well-being.
This is the weird thing in it. Like Fiona even threw out the line to me the other day where she said, "quote word for word, you are an intelligent person. Why do you do this?" And it's true. If I was advising anybody in a particular situation, if there is a particular stressor that you voluntarily engage with that gives you zero in return, my advice, so forget that it's football, forget that it's Man United, forget that it's, you know, entertainment. It's fucking not at the minute. But if you've got a stressor and it's causing you irritation, angst, frustration, anger, a lot of negative emotions, my main piece of advice would always be just disengage from the stressor. Remove yourself from it, like take it out of your life, and you can control that aspect of it and start living a better life. So, unfortunately, for whatever reason, I say it's different. It's not different, but I'm volunteering to continue down this path of, I would say, supporting them, but watching them as often as I can, and generally just being pissed off with the way they perform week in, week out. And Monday night, after a really long, enjoyable weekend, by the way, very productive, very busy, completely unruined until the last minute,
Do you
where United went and got battered 4-0 by Crystal Palace.
do you think part of still being in it and still watching is like there's some hope there? There's some desperation, there's some hope.
100%. It's why England, why everyone watches the World Cup whenever it's on. Like, we're shit. We're not going to win it, and we're not going to win it. We're not going to win the Euros this time because of Gareth Southgate. Like, everyone keeps drawing the England team up on paper and going, give me a reason why this team won't win. I can give you the reason. Gareth Southgate. Again and again and again.
Well, I remember when we had what was what did we call them? The golden generation where we had Gerrard, Lampard, Beckham, Giggs, Scholes, Ferdinand, Cole. We had all them and they didn't win it. So I'm not going to win it with this bunch, this rabble. Not that I'm saying I'm any better, obviously. But
Oh,
anyway,
they
share you,
yeah,
Alex,
they didn't win it because they just didn't get on with each other. They weren't friends.
which is
Friends.
because obviously they cared more about club level. Which...
Yeah. Anyway, I need cheering up. What have you got for me?
So I've got an interesting story for you that's been bothering me. And I wonder if maybe we'll go on a tangent with some more stories. But this is something that's been bothering me. And I just feel like I need an outlet. So I'm going to talk to you about it. So over a year ago, I worked at a commercial gym. And I won't say the name. You know the name. It's irrelevant anyway.
Total shitness, it's called. There you go.
Wow. Anyway, what happened was for a period of about 3 weeks, and this is a true story, and there are people who will, well, I don't know if vouch for me is the right word, like I didn't get in a fight or anything, but they will tell you this happened. For a period of about 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks, a guy used to come in at 6:17 in the morning. And I'm not making that number up because he did it for 3 weeks. So after like week 1.5, I was like, that's a peculiar thing. I'm gonna start seeing what happens. So he used to come in 6:17 with his suit on and his briefcase. He'd walk straight up the stairs at the gym, go to the rig, do one set of 6 pull-ups, chin over bar pull-ups, dead hang at the bottom, good pull-ups, pick up his briefcase and leave. He did it for about 1.5 weeks. And so I was always in session at 6 a.m. So I was like, this is weird. I've seen this guy do it. He does this every morning. He's done this 5 days a week for the last week and a half. Like, what's going on? I need to speak to him. I need to find out. But I was always in session, so I never managed to speak to him. So one morning, he comes in. Obviously, I clock the time so I can speak to him next time. And he leaves. And I'm going to be honest with you, mate. I followed him. I didn't leave the gym, obviously. I was like, I wonder what he's doing. He didn't walk into the car park, so he's not parked up or whatever. He walked off and around a corner. So obviously I didn't follow him. I didn't know where he was going. But yeah, that's what he did. And he carried on doing that for another 3.5, 4 weeks. And then he left. Like I never saw him in the gym ever again.
What do you
Weird.
think? What do you think he was? Well, yeah, it's definitely weird. What do you think he was doing?
I don't know, because if he couldn't do a pull-up, I'd be like, he's just trying to get his first pull-up. Or he was trying to get a pump on before he goes to work. I don't know. Honestly, I have no, because it was one set and it was around 6 pull-ups. So
Every,
he's not
every
trained. He's not getting better at them. It was the same amount each time.
that's weird.
It's bothered me because I never managed to figure it out, and I've not seen him since. And yeah,
It's
right.
bothering me. It's bothering me. Hopefully, this reaches the airwaves and he's listening to this while he's in his car or while he's doing his 6 pull-ups again. And hopefully, he gets in touch with us and tells us exactly why he's being weird.
Peculiar,
Anyway,
peculiar.
anyway, apart from those kind of peculiarities, that is something that requires an explanation. The question I wanted to go through today was, what's your thoughts on this? So, you obviously as a coach, and I've been on the end of this as a coach and as an athlete, but I'll just read it to you as it's written. So, if coaches need to resort to long lectures and explanations for why they are doing what they are doing, there is something wrong. First off, do you agree? What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, it's too complex. If it's something that's super complex, then why? Like, and I think whenever are doing something super complex, you'll have been building up to that stage anyway. So your client would have an idea and you wouldn't have to explain it to them. If it's far from ordinary and
Mm,
what they would expect, then obviously you can expect that there will be confusion. And if there's confusion, you're probably doing something that's confusing them, which means it's not what they want to be doing or need to be doing, most likely. So, and I think a lot of time as well with coaches, like we just like to sound really clever by making things sound way more technical. And I've got a working example right here, right? Which is not exactly the same thing. But so I do some classes. I do a Saturday class at the ProFit gym, 9 a.m. And last Saturday, it was a really like not technically demanding workout, but the way it was written on the board, it seemed quite confusing. And I thought, wow, like if I just said 3 sets of 10, like body weight squats, like that would confuse some people. And I was looking at this thing and I was like, I have no idea I'm going to explain this to everyone. I explained it in a really what I found simplistic manner, and I could see their faces. They were all like, well, yeah, that's fairly simple. And I made the mistake, Alex, of asking everyone, do you have any questions? And then someone asked the question, and I realized as soon as I'd offered it out and they asked the question, I was like, oh no. Because there's now way more to think about. Because they'd asked this question that in reality everyone understood. And then they asked it, and I can't even remember what the question was, but it made you could see everyone's face something go, huh? Oh. And it confused them. So the more information that they'd gained, the more confused that they actually were. So my point to answer your question is, if you can refine something down into its simplest form, then you can scale it up for people who are more creative and more athletic, and scale it back for people who are like, let's call them motor pattern challenged. Uh, that was a very political way of saying it. But yeah, so my point there is the more information you have to give about something, the more confusing it becomes, the more things there are to think about. And I think when people are thinking about more variables and stuff, it makes it significantly harder. Sometimes you just don't need to know that shit, do you? Like,
Oh,
was the last time? Do you follow James Smith?
no.
So viewers,
Ask
and
me a serious question.
there was a video that so I don't follow him, but a video came to my feed last week, and it was James Smith talking about what nutrition Instagram people influencers are like nowadays, and what nutrition's like on Instagram. And he's deliberately just saying Latin words, like anatomical words, like latissimus dorsi, for example, and just throwing them and saying them in a way that makes food sound bad. So, for example, I think he picks up this can of Coke and he's like, this can of Coke sends neural signals to your latissimus dorsi. We cannot be touching that stuff. Do you know what that means? That is poison. So obviously the point is people don't understand it, but he's just sending complex things that people don't understand, that they don't need to know. Like, when was the last time you had to say latissimus dorsi to a client? Like, and that's fairly bog standard as a
Like,
word.
I mean, this is the thing. Like, to be honest, like I know quite a lot, but in terms of my everyday language, sometimes it's as simple as we're going to work this bit, and I'll point at them and I'll poke them and be like, "That's the bit you're working." You don't
Yeah,
need to know more than that. If you want to know more, I'll tell you more. But like, what do you need to know it for,
yeah, yeah,
realistically? Unless you are like, I'll admit, like the times where I've used it in more detail have been when I've actually been educating trainers, and that's when it becomes more useful. And the same thing with, I imagine, same things with physios, or when I've personally gone to the physio and I go, what are we looking at here? Because I want to understand my injury more, because then I can personally make better decisions about how I go about rehabbing it, because I am my own coach in that sense. Like I can, micromanage things with regards to my programming. So I want to understand what's going on, but also that information serves for useful purposes when it comes to working with my own clients as well. But in terms of being very hyper specific about the movement patterns, the muscles involved, the language, the joint actions, like I don't talk like that on a regular basis. Not at all. And then also in terms of actually trying to justify every exercise in the program, like from a coaching side of things, it becomes quite tiring. Like like you do that in the goal setting at the start. Like that's why personally I believe this is why people hire you as a coach. They go, right, I've got a goal. I believe you can help me and get me there. This is what the goal is. What do you think? You go, absolutely can get you there. This is how I plan on doing it. Blah, 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 blah. Break it down. What do you think? And away you go. If they're happy with it, if they agree with it. And then it's just up to you to fill in the blanks. And then, I think some people do like more detail, but in terms of my programming, like, and there's differences as well. Like my online coaching, and you'll have seen this, like we, have access to a lot of, well, we write programs around each other's work as well, don't we? So we can all see what I can see what programs you've written, you can see what programs I've written. And, within that, I'll frequently put rep ranges. Like if I want someone to work for 3 to 6 reps or 1 to 3 reps or 5 to 9 or 12 to 15 or 20 to 25, for example, I'll put a rep window in there. Yet when I'm speaking to a newbie in the gym, because I think in that scenario, it's kind of implied of this is your rep range, work as heavy as you can through that rep range. And most people will be like, yep, okay, cool, got it. When I explain that to people in the gym, as it's written up in a group class setting on a board, say, right, you're going to do 5 sets and you're going to hit 5 to 7 reps. And they go, which one is it, 5 or 7? And I'll look at them and I go, 6 for you. I don't really know what more to say other than, like, for some reason in that scenario, it gets thrown up where you do get more questions and you go, well, how much rest time am I having? Am I having 30 seconds or am I having a minute? And it's like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Chill out for a period of time and then go again.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think so. One thing that I do to mitigate stuff like that now is I just use the timer and I just say to people, listen, you're going to do this and this every 2 minutes or every 2.5 minutes or every 3 minutes. And whenever it's like a rep range, I always say, and again, this is easier if it's someone that you're working with specifically. So if it's your client, I 100% agree with you. Everything is pre-framed at the very start. It's like, this is what we're going to be working on. This is how we're going to do it. This is how you're going to achieve your goal. You're kind of explaining like the skeleton of the program, aren't you? Like, this is the foundations and the bare bones of it. Like, the intricacies of it don't fucking matter. Like, whether or not you do 2 exercises or 4 exercises in one go, like, doesn't really matter. This is what we're aiming for. This is how we're going to go about it. But when it comes to rep ranges, I just explain to people at the start, like, I'm going to give you rep ranges. You're always aiming for the top number, because if you aim for the bottom number, you'll hit the bottom number when you could have probably hit the top one. Just
Yeah.
it says 5 to 10, you fucking aim for 10.
Yeah.
Sausage goblin.
Yeah. I always say the same thing. I say aim for the top number. And once you aim for the top number, you can push the weights up for the next set. Do that. I also think as well, like, really, I've seen this where, some coaches will essentially brag about like the level of detail. They call it detail in a plan, right? It's not detail. It's just piles of information that you're dumping in there that is particularly unnecessary. That realistically, if anyone wanted to find it, they could go into Google, they could search for something and they would get the result. You could just copy and paste the text from anything you want and ping it in the program and you'd just be saying stuff. And the problem is, I don't think most people read it. I don't think most people care. I, as an athlete, would not care. If I saw something in my program, I'd be like, okay, cool. All right, let's go. Let's do that. Oh, that looks tough. All right, let's do it. And you just get on with it. Just do the job. So the role of the coach in that sense is to be the filter. Like if I was to write out, like if I wrote you a training program, right? And said, what I'm going to do in this training program, Chris, is I'm going to justify and explain every single detail to you. So you understand 100% exactly what we're aiming for and why we're doing things. It would take me fucking ages to write that program. And to be honest, like you wouldn't be paying me for the program in that sense. Like my job is to essentially be a filter of information, provide you with the nuts and bolts of everything you need, and then add on any additional bits of information that is required. Otherwise, it is just pure information overload. And quite frankly, a lot of wasted time and a lot of wasted energy. Like, I mean, you've been to my house, you've seen the amount of books that I've got lying around on shelves. People think I haven't read them. I have read most of them. Fiona says I haven't read them. There's a pile on the side of my bed that I haven't read. 3 of them I have, and I just haven't put them away yet. But that's my to-do list pile. They're the ones I'm going to work through. And the thing is, if I was to explain, I mean, ultimately, I can't remember every single detail as to what I've picked up. But if I was to go into detail as to justifying why every single exercise is in a program, it would take me a long time to write a program. It would take me an awfully long time to actually coach someone. It would take me an awfully long time to deliver them their results because I'd be thinking too much about the detail of why I'm putting stuff in there. It gets to the point where, like, I've done it for what, 10 years, maybe, like just over 10 years. You intuitively pick things up and you almost go off uh, gut reaction and, like, you trust your instincts at that point. You take the information, you start to manipulate it in ways that are more relevant, and you can experiment a little bit more. Like, the guidelines are great and they serve a purpose, but beyond that, you need to be able to look at someone and really think about how you can change things to suit them best. And sometimes it comes down to individual differences, and sometimes that's the best explanation as to why you might do something.
Yeah, I agree. And I do like it's interesting, isn't it? How when you go to school and you go to college and all that stuff, and kind of education sort of enforces and reinforces. And I've seen the way people talk to each other, that like via professional emails and things like that in businesses and stuff. And it's like talking technical jargon, and it's utter shite. Do you remember when we went to that leadership meeting with I won't say the gym's name, Alex has already said it. And
Don't
it was
shit this.
a board meeting, and they were just, you could tell that they were talking brown because it was just corporate bullshit. And it was like, I don't think they even understood it, let alone us. Like, when you can make something very, very simplistic in nature and you can explain it in a concise manner, why would you not? Like, why do you need to use the super fancy words and stuff like that? You're actually smarter if you can explain it in a really short, simple sentence rather than using 27 different long, fancy, stupid fucking words that no one cares about.
Yeah.
I don't dislike the English language, by the way. I like fancy words and I like technical jargon, and I've had to tone mine down. But you will get this every day. No disrespect to members of gyms and things like that, because you are there, and I think my role is not to overload you with information. As Alex said, my role is to help you make the changes that you try and make in the easiest way possible to get optimal results for you. Like, people that have been to work doing whatever jobs they're doing, let's say they work 9 till 5, and then they're coming into the gym in the evening, or they're going into the gym first thing before work. They don't give a fuck about the intricacies of like where this muscle inserts and originates and why we need to do this specific move, and because it aids the flexion at this extent. Like, it just, like, no one gives a fuck. What they care about is, can I just come in, chill, have a talk to my friends and have a good time and do the workout? Like, is that okay? Yeah, yeah, easy. As long as you do the
Like,
bit.
I've just gone onto LinkedIn and just picked out someone at random. This is just one of the posts at random. I'm going to try and really filter out some of the details, but I'll just give you an idea of the wording. Brilliant constructed 2 days by exploring high performance cultures, challenging strategy, and hearing from expert practitioners across different industries to further understand the importance of innovation, vision, staff alignment, recruitment, and intention based on leadership. Extremely thought provoking and insightful presentations from insert blanks. Inspirational to learn from and listen to their experiences. Love the collaboration and open dialogue. And I'm like, I know this person, and I know for a fact they don't fucking talk like that. Like, if they're listening to this podcast, they'll recognize themselves. But in the same way that we talk on this podcast, like we try to keep it real and try and keep it genuine. And I feel like whenever I go on LinkedIn, I can't do social media on there because it seems so fake. Like even some of the messages that I get, let me see if I can pull some of these up. Some of the messages I get, I generally don't respond to them. This one's shocking. This is from a chief executive officer, and it says, Alex, quick one, brother. First off, mate, I'm not your fucking brother. Second one,
Who's this guy?
myself and my team are looking for some coaches to jump into a free course we created on LinkedIn to see if they can give us feedback on it. Basically breaks down how we cracked LinkedIn into our previous business. Do you know anyone decent or maybe something you may be interested in? I didn't respond, and then essentially it kind of went from sort of more serious to I'll show you this. You know the meme of Homer Simpson going back into the hedge. He
Yeah.
sent me that, and I've just continued to not respond to him. So if anyone's seen that on the screen, you'll know exactly who it is.
Wow.
Let's see if I can pick up another one. Here's another one. It's Hey Alex, great to connect. Always love chatting and sharing ideas with other trainers and coaches just like myself. Just checking I'm about to connect to a real person, not a random bot. And I'm like, just fuck off, man.
Isn't it? Because they've sent a message like a bot.
Just be real. Yeah, like, and that's the thing. Like, I don't trust that. I
Yeah.
just don't trust it. And yeah, it just comes across as fake. Anyway, next question for you is like if someone did consistently demand like an in-depth explanation and a bit of a justification as to why they were doing something, what would be your reaction as a coach? Like if someone was constantly doing it, like I would expect it now and again from someone that cares about what they're doing. But if you were getting it constantly, like I'm talking every session, like every exercise, even if it's something that you've done relatively routinely.
Well, my first thought, my initial thought, my ego will be like, this person does not fucking trust me as a coach. Like they don't trust either what I'm delivering to them or what we're actually doing. If they're requiring such a long fucking justification and why exactly are we doing it this way? Why do we do this? Why do we do that? And but by the way, there are a lot of those people out there, aren't there? There's people who I think I've seen on PT forums they're called as experts by PTs, people who like clients who claim to know a lot and therefore say, oh, well, why are we doing that? Why aren't we doing this? Why are we doing that? Blah, 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 blah. Interestingly, just a diverse conversation. I had a conversation with somebody the other day where I had a situation like that, and they just did not want to do what the collective programming is. So it's not even my programming, it's the collective programming of the gym, and it is what it is. And there's 2 sessions that you go through, and they are what they are. And we brief them, we explain them, blah, 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 everyone knows. And this person was just not having it. He was like, yeah, but can we not do it this way? Can I do this? Blah, 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 blah. And there were a few explanations. To which point, so I've got a very good relationship with this person. So I think he was a little bit jokey as well. I just said, hang on a minute, let me just grab you something. I went into the back and grabbed him one of the coach hoodies and said, yeah, just stick this on, mate, if you want to take the session. But yeah, I would, my first thought would be this person doesn't trust the process. So I would go along the lines of asking them where it's all coming from. Like exactly like you said, what do they want that information for? What do they need to know that information for? It's generally, as a coach, going to be because they don't trust the process. They want to know more about it, but usually because they don't trust it. So if they were completely insistent, I would just say, listen, we could save a lot of time by doing another sit down like our goal setting, like you said, and we can iron all this over. We can just, okay, this is why we're going to do this. This is how we're going to be doing this. This is what we're going to be doing here. This is how we're going to do this. That'll take us 1 hour, like rather than every single session or all the time. This is what, like, why do I do that? Why am I doing this? Why do I do it like that? Why do I do it like this? If it was like calling out questioning sort of thing, obviously, if it was just asking, just curious, like it wouldn't really bother me too much.
See, I'm at the point now where I think in a group session, it can be very annoying because it slows everything down and it slows everyone down, especially if you're doing it in the briefing. Like if you're having to do it constantly through every little block that you do in the session, and they stop you each time and they go, "Oh, why are we doing that?" I'm like, "Right, I'll talk to you later. I'll explain everything afterwards." Um, but in terms of one-to-one stuff, this is what I would do now. Like, I don't have to deal with this now, but if I had someone in that situation, I would actively try to bore them to death with the level of detail. And then at the end of it all, I would do a quick learning check. And then they can tell me that either they can blow my mind and demonstrate how much information they've gleaned from asking their question in the first
Absolutely
place,
amazing.
or they'll go, um, uh, so we're doing leg extensions to get legs stronger. I'll go, that's it. You've nailed it. Well done. And it's like, yeah, I would actively bore them to death with the detail. We'll talk about angle of hip flexion and the importance of like the isometric hold and the slow eccentric and
Would deliberately go into the over elaborate like explanations then that there would actually be a use for doing that.
100%.
Wow, we've
100%.
gone full circle here. I love that. I absolutely love that, and at some point we'll utilize it. We're gonna do
Right.
skill check, a quick learning check. I'm just gonna test you on all the things that you've asked me today.
Although I did have someone she asked me recently actually. She was like, um I was talking about the importance of actually squeezing the weight and really gripping hard. And I can't remember the exercise we were doing. But she was like, why do I need to do that? I was like, well, if you grip it a little bit less hard, what happens? I drop it. All right. So that's a start. That's number one. And then I decided, and then she looked at me, she was like, well, why am I gripping it so hard? And I was like, right, there's this little thing called Sherrington's law of irradiation, where if you contract one muscle, you squeeze it as hard as possible, the other muscles around it will also contract as well. By doing that, you're going to create stability through each of the joints which cross over it, in turn, reaching for a much stronger lift and a better quality of movement. Does that make sense to you? She was like, okay. And I went, I'm going to ask you at the end of the session exactly what I've just said. And I went back to her at the end of the session and was like, what was that law I told you about earlier? And she was like, she actually pulled, like somewhat pulled it out of the bag with a little bit of my assistance, but she got there in the end. I was like, I'll check on you next week. Do you remember it? And yeah, she didn't. She'd
Yeah.
forgotten it. But she knows to squeeze now. She knows how to grip properly. Um, so yeah, yeah, that's that one.
I like
Anyway,
it.
I feel like we've covered that. So if you are one of those clients, if you are one of those people in one of those situations, and you do want to test me, feel free. I will quite happily bore you to death with the level of information and detail that you require. Um, for now, that concludes episode number 99 of the Lenko Show. Hopefully, you've enjoyed listening to this, and we will be back again very, very soon with the big 100. Until next time. Shout out if you've got any questions, if you need any assistance, you know where we are on social media. And if you would like to either share this podcast, leave a review, 5-star review, that is, celebrate the big 100, that would be greatly appreciated. We'll keep doing them regardless, but it would absolutely I do look at some of the download figures now and again. I'll get a weekly report on it, and I think, fucking hell, like people are still listening to this. This is all right. Like we'll carry on. We will be carrying on regardless, even if very few people or no one was listening. Probably, no one really. Don't know. Would you keep doing this if no one was listening?
Well, I'm listening.
Just so yes.
It depends. If the conversation was dry, Alex, and I was genuinely starting to resent you and resenting this hour of my life, I would consider we have a meeting and we go, right, okay, I think we're
Explains why Chris has only appeared on about 15 episodes.
but no, I think we have a good chat. We have a good conversation. It's usually pretty fun. It's usually educational. Why not?
Stress free, not like watching Man United.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. Anyway, that is it from me. Chris, have you got anything else you would like to say to the wonderful listener?
No, other than
Singular.
Make sure. So remember, we went international, so things are looking good for us. So if you are in Zimbabwe or Peru or the mountains of Afghanistan, maybe not the mountains of Afghanistan.
I'm not sure how many listeners we get in the mountains of Afghanistan, but we definitely have had numbers in South America.
Beautiful,
So
beautiful. You South America, I love you, South Americans. I love
Peru
you.
could definitely be on the map. Peru could definitely be up there.
Very cute. Well, Peru, I might come out there and do a meet and greet next year. You never know.
Anyway, that is it from me. And that is it from Chris as well. Till next time, we will see you back for episode 100. Lenko out.